3700.
5 minutes from now, President Trump will be welcoming the Prime Minister of Malaysia to the White House. Normally, there's, of course, little controversy about a head of state visiting the President of the United States, but this time it is different. The head of state, the Prime Minister of Malaysia, is currently under investigation by the U.S. Justice Department for charges of corruption as he faces re-election back home. For more on exactly what this is, let's go over to the White House right now. Dan Merica is watching everything there. So, Dan, what is the White House saying about the visit and this investigation?
Yeah, it's not every day the president meets with a foreign leader who is under DOJ investigation, but that is what will happen behind me in mere minutes. This meeting, as you mentioned, comes as the Department of Justice investigates the Prime Minister and his family for corruption. The charges are that they skimmed money off of a fund, and actually that money went through U.S. financial institutions, which is why the Department of Justice is involved. Sarah Sanders, the press secretary here at the White House, tried to divorce this meeting from the investigation. Here's what she said yesterday when reporters asked about it.
We're not going to comment on an ongoing investigation being led by the Department of Justice, and that investigation is apolitical and certainly independent of anything taking place tomorrow.
Now, this leader certainly isn't the first controversial foreign leader the president has either met or talked to, but he is up for re-election, and Malaysian policy experts say that a photo with the president at the White House will certainly boost his chances. Now, the meeting is going to focus on North Korea, and President Trump certainly hopes to find an ally in this fight. But really, it's the meeting at all. The fact the meeting's happening at all that is overshadowing whatever they talk about in the White House today. Kate.
Right. So we'll be keeping an eye on. They'll be meeting. They won't be holding a press conference. That's the latest. But we will see what is said when the pool is allowed in. But also tonight, interestingly, Dan, the president's having dinner with with Republicans and Democrats alike. What's this one about?
It's about tax reform, and really we can put this under the lessons learned column. You remember when President Trump pursued health care reform, it was really a Republican effort. It was led by Republicans in the House and Senate and obviously here at the White House, and they got no Democratic support. And a lesson learned from that, as Mark Short, the top legislative aide here at the White House, told reporters this morning, is you can't really rely on 50 or 51 Republicans because you're on shaky ground there. You need some Democratic support. So today, Democratic Senators Heidi Heitkamp, Joe Manchin, and Joe Donnelly will come to the White House, meet with the president, along with 3 other Republicans. And really, this is lessons learned from that healthcare fight. You need these Democrats to be on board, and President Trump helps and thinks, frankly, he can get some of these moderate Democrats to back his tax proposal and make it successful on Capitol Hill.
Especially when they're moderate Democrats from states where the president won quite big. Great to see you, Dan. Thank you so much. All right, so there is that. Dan laid it out there from the White House. There's also this, a new wrinkle in the Russia investigation. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that members of the president's legal team concluded that his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, should resign as White House senior advisor because of the extent of his contacts with Russian officials and Russian businessmen. Add to that the fact that Kushner initially did not disclose these contacts, of course. He later said it was an oversight. Basically, these members of Trump's legal team thought Kushner had become too much of a liability for the president in the midst of this ongoing investigation. Joining me now, CNN's Chris Cillizza, CNN political commentator and host of the Ben Ferguson Show. Ben Ferguson, aptly named, and CNN political commentator and Democratic strategist Hillary Rosen is here as well. So, Chris, one thing that we do know is that the president did not take the advice of these members of his legal team. Kushner is still, of course, the senior advisor to the president. So what does this mean at this point?
Well, it means that his counsel's advice legally to keep him as protected as possible was to do X, and he chose to do Y. Now, it doesn't mean that keeping Jared Kushner on means anything concrete as it relates to the special counsel investigation. Kate, it just means lawyers are going to be on the careful side here. What I would say, though, is it is a reminder of why you don't always want to go into business with family members, right? I mean, it is hard to do the hypothetical, but let's imagine that was Steve Bannon, that they gave that advice about President Trump. You should part ways with Steve Bannon legally, a little dicey territory as it relates to the Russia investigation. My guess is it'd be an easier conversation to have with the president. The idea that they're going to jettison the son-in-law, his daughter Ivanka's husband, it's just touchier. It's why having people who are related to you, working for you in an official capacity, it's going to create situation, maybe short of this in a normal situation, but it's going to create stuff like this. It's why people are always wary of having that situation be set up.
Touchier. It's a technical term. Ben, do you think Kushner is a liability for the president?
No, and I also think that this story has been blown a little bit out of proportion. The fact is, every attorney that is actually representing him has now come out on the record and said this did not happen, that this was not being said. I do think that lawyers, their job...
It's not all of them that have come out.
Everyone that has come out.
No, they're not denying that the report... they're not denying the accuracy of the report. They are saying that
they never said that.
Didn't
right.
Give
they
that
never said
advice.
that. I'm sure that there's lawyers in the room that had a conversation about X, Y, and Z in different scenarios. But I do not believe for a second when you see that these lawyers coming out that all of a sudden they said, oh, he needs to go. I'm sure they talked about different scenarios. But the fact is, Jared Kushner is at the White House. I don't see him leaving anytime soon. I think the president likes his counsel. I think the fact he's a son-in-law, and this issue of you don't want to do business with family is also a narrative that people want to push. It's not necessarily based in reality, though.
Just as we continue the conversation, just want to note, as we were talking about with Dan America, President Trump welcoming right now the Prime Minister of Malaysia, and just as quickly as they take their photograph, they will head in for meetings, and we will hopefully get maybe some video of them in one of those meetings a little later. All right, Hillary, not unrelated to this question, is Hillary Clinton's book now out. She's a big event, actually, I think of Barnes & Noble in New York City that's happening right now. As part of the rollout, she told USA Today, Susan Page, that she is convinced that Trump associates colluded with Russia, helped Russians interfere in the election. Here are the couple quotes that she told Susan Page. There certainly was communication, and there certainly was an understanding of some sort. She goes on to say, and there's no doubt in my mind that there are a tangle of financial relationships between Trump and his operation with Russian money, and there's no doubt in my mind that the Trump campaign and other associates have worked hard to hide their connections with Russians. Is this helpful?
Well, I don't know that it doesn't matter whether it's helpful. I think what we know, though, is there is a actual special counsel investigating this very subject. We know that this isn't about Jared Kushner. This goes to Donald Trump consistently feeling like he is above the law. You know, it's the meeting with the Malaysian prime minister. It's the, you know, firing Jim Comey, that things don't stick to him. And so I think what Hillary Clinton is saying is, look, we've had U.S. intelligence confirmation, 5 different U.S. intelligence agencies confirming that Russia interfered. We have amazing coincidences about timing of releases of Clinton campaign information to overshadow negative information about Donald Trump. When the Access Hollywood tapes came out, so did a new dump of Clinton campaign emails. So what Hillary Clinton, I think, is saying is, for her, this just feels like too many coincidences. The Trump campaign consistently teased out that they were going to have a lot of oppo to dump on Hillary the very same weekend that Don Jr. had a meeting with a Russian lawyer saying that they wanted to give information about Hillary Clinton. So it's entirely appropriate for her to say, look, I think there's just too much here. I don't believe that nothing happened. That's totally fine.
I've never enjoyed a Hillary Clinton book more than this one, because what she needs to do is go read what she actually just wrote and look at how much of a sore loser she is. She blames everyone else, and the Democratic Party should really pay attention to this. I've read quite a bit of it, and it's been amazing. Let me finish what I was going to say. Okay, first of all, you don't know what I read or didn't read. That's a pretty. I mean, I read part of this book. What I've read so far has been amazing, because Hillary Clinton literally blames everyone else instead of the fact that the American people didn't trust her. And the Democratic Party should pay attention to Hillary Clinton on what not to do next time. Because when you come out and you blame everyone except for the fact that you didn't run a good campaign, people didn't connect with you, Democratic voters didn't trust you, and then you rip on Bernie Sanders and say he's not a real Democrat. You even blame Barack Obama for one of the reasons why you lost this election, which was her biggest ally, her biggest asset on the road for her was Barack Obama. And you take cheap shots at Barack Obama, who helped you probably more than any other modern day president trying to give the White House to someone else. You got to look at this if you're a Democrat and say, what in the world is the Democratic Party doing right now?
I will say one thing One thing that Hillary Clinton would love to hear right now is that Ben Ferguson says this is the best book that he's read. Hillary
It's
Clinton
amazing.
is trying. Hillary Clinton would like everyone
And
to
it's
read
clear,
this book right now.
she took overwhelming responsibility for losing this campaign.
I-
But this book is
what in
called
those
What
pages?
Happened. All of those other
It is a
things
look back.
did
The point of the book is a
actually
look back of what exactly did happen.
That's right.
And Democrats can decide as they move forward if they want to look back or as they look forward. Chris and Liza, you get the first round next time because they
No,
just
it's
stole all
okay.
your extra time.
I like
I'm
to
sorry,
listen.
my love. I am sorry. All
No
right.
problem, Kate.
All right. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate
Thanks.
it. All right. And do not miss, on this very note, do not miss a special edition of AC 360. That's tomorrow night. Anderson will be sitting down with Hillary Clinton to discuss the 2016 election. That is tomorrow at 8.